with us.
Yeah.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. I am Sydney Fumurani Mikosi and I'm traveling with VM this morning. We are going to try by all means and to get you see quite a lot of interesting animals this morning. My plan this morning is to look for Hosanna, who just got a kill yesterday. And for your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #safariLIVE. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. So I'm just around the tree house dam now just to see if Hosanna is not around here, as I've been to the kill earlier on and I saw nothing there. I'm trying to track him down now to see if we are going to be lucky this side. So he ate quite a lot from the kill yesterday. A very good morning again and a happy Heritage Day. So I managed to see some tracks earlier on. So his tracks are heading much more this side. So I'm just going to check here by the dam wall, tree house, dam area, because maybe he's relaxed somewhere around here. So I don't think he will be doing some lot of activities, as the carcass is left with just a little bit of meat. He ate a lot already. So I have to check the tracks on this road. I will try by all means to find this beautiful cat here. I'm just trying to do some trekking to check all the junctions. And here, no tracks came this side. So I'm going to have to go and check the other side. So I'm very happy with the weather, because this kind of weather is best for trekking. So but now, let's go to David in the Mara, who is also about to start his game drive this morning, and hear what he is going to look for this morning.
A very good morning and hello everyone and jumbo everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari drive from the Masai Mara Triangle in Kenya. As usual, more often than not, we are starting with a beautiful sunrise from the eastern horizon, and I couldn't ask for a better start for the morning than such a beautiful ball of the sun pushing up with all the beautiful colors that you'd have in your minds. And this is why our drives here are very special, both in Kenya and South Africa. Look at that beauty. Fantastic, very good job, and definitely Emma in the final control is very happy about that. And as usual, my name has not changed. David is my name, and on the camera with me today is Manu. A very good morning, Manu. Buenos días, Manu. ¿Qué tal? ¿Todo bien? Okay, Manu says all of them. And remember, this is a very interactive safari. You are more than welcome to ask us as many questions as you may, and any comments you may have, please tweet #safariLIVE. Don't forget also to follow us on the YouTube chat stream. And it's such a lovely morning, and we are spotting from a distance some lions enjoying the morning temperatures. We are doing about 14 degrees Celsius and about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a pride of lions that I'm yet to identify who they are. And very soon I will do that, not very far from the camp. So the lions around this area is the Olololo pride. But sooner or later I will try and zero in and go close to them and find out who they are. But the Olololo pride is always a huge pride. So what we'll do, we'll try and go closer and know who they are. Okay, let's get a road towards that direction. And we'll be able to tell which pride that is. As I said earlier, Olololo pride is always huge. 14, 15 lions together, or sometimes up to 16. What a lovely morning we got here. If Manu could do me one favor, every time I stop here and I enjoy the pan of the Mara as I go down the escarpment. David, good morning. And those mountains from where I am, from that horizon, I would say they could be about 50 kilometers away. Very good camera work there, Manu. I would say they could be 50 kilometers away if I say fly in that direction. So 50 kilometers away. And that's the beauty of the Masai Mara. If you look carefully, you can see an elephant hiding somewhere. And those trees there, we call them the torchwood trees. You can see some hot air balloons in the background in the air. Those dots you see up above the mountains, David. And we have one that's not very high. And that is how our mornings start here in the Mara Triangle. What a great office or great wilderness to work in. Who cares? We have been to that den of the jackal pups 4 times. Out of the 4 times, it's only once we saw the mother or the parents or 2 adults just outside the den. But the pups have not come out. I think they need to grow a little bit older, who cares? And for them to build more courage to be able to come out and venture in the outside world. So what we'll be doing now, today at one point, who cares? We'll swing about that den. And if you're lucky, don't go away. Stay watching, switched on, and we might be able to see them today. It depends. The days you go there, you see them. The days you go, you don't see them. Who cares? This could be the day we might see those jackal pups. Alrighty, off to a hunt. See whether we shall get close to those lions. Great time mornings or great temperatures like now is when cats will go hunting. So, or maybe they brought down something last night, who knows? Sheik's lady, from where I was only able to see adults. I wasn't able to see cubs. And as I promised Sheik's lady, we are going close there. We'll definitely tell you for a fact if they have any cubs or not. So it's not very far from where we are. Maybe another 5 minutes we'll be there, and we'll find out if they have cubs or not. We're going to be meeting with friends of ours who are just game rangers. They might just give us a little wave. We're going to say hello to them as we continue doing our thing. Good morning, Jambo Jambo. And before we do that, I think there is a snake eagle somewhere we might want to watch. Manu, do you see? There's a snake eagle up there. Alafu pale kuna rugwaru. So I'm just directing my friend to some lions. And Manu, yeah, that is a snake eagle. Sorry about that. And I think that could be the black-chested snake eagle. Manu, what do you think? You can see there's a little bird there trying to harass it. I've seen small birds in the name of, let me get the name for them, that tend to, I'll get the name of them, tend to harass big eagles. And that could be a juvenile black-chested eagle. Most snake eagles don't have any feathers, or we say they have no booted tarsus. They don't have feathers on their feet. Unlike the normal eagle, if you look carefully, well done, Manu, the feet there look bare. They're not covered by any feathers, which is unlike eagles, which is a very big characteristic for eagles to be covered by feathers on their feet. Yeah, very good job there, Manu, and very good eyesight they got, snake eagles, most of them having a bit of rounded head like, and they can spot, I would say, a long way for a snake if they need to. Not once I've watched them from a distance and then maybe see them 3-4 kilometers away with a snake. How they spot that, I do not know, but I think they got very strong eyesight. Very good. So I'll go from here, see whether they'll get close to the lions, find out for who cares if they have any cubs. But in the meantime, we'll take you all the way to South Africa, to Sydney.
Today, it is a very, very important day here in South Africa. Today is a public holiday which is called a Heritage Day, whereby all the tribes belonging to South Africa are meant to celebrate their cultural diversity, beliefs, and traditional practice. It is a day which is punctuated with quite a lot of rituals and quite a lot of traditional dancing, and a lot of big ceremonies are taking place to celebrate this day. You can see now I am on my traditional dress. This is my Venda traditional dress, and this is what I usually wear during this day and when going to the special traditional ceremonies. So today is my day too. So now I'll be looking for Hosanna, and I'm hoping to see him on this Heritage Day. I want to celebrate Heritage Day with Hosanna today. That is going to be an ornament. So I'm just still gonna go back and see him where I left. Thank you very, very much for all the well wishes on Heritage Day. So this day has been a very important day since I was still very young. I used to be part of one of the traditional dancing group. We used to travel and we used to be dancing a lot during the important ceremonies. But I was part of the group consisted only for the guys, because there is different traditional dancing. Some is specifically for girls and some is specifically for guys. Ginger, I am going to show you, you must remind me before I finish, I am going to dance a little bit for you so that you can see. But my dancing is interesting because we were using some of different instruments in order to create our own music. So we built a music and we dance from there. But without any music, I can do that as well. So there's nothing at the moment here, but the tracks are heading towards Treehouse Dams. There is some noise from the squirrel from yesterday. I trust the squirrels a lot because the squirrels is the ones that have shown me Hosanna yesterday. I can't see where that squirrel is, but the noise is coming from there. I'm gonna have to check. So I'm just going to reverse now and see if I can see where the squirrel is calling from in order to just see his direction of concentration so that I can be able to check what is there. But maybe here is where Hosanna is resting at the moment. I hope so. So we are not very far away from the kill. We are just about a couple of meters away from the kill. So I'm just going to try and go to the kill via this area to see if the squirrel is having something for us this morning. So you can see that, oh, this squirrel is looking at this direction. So I must have to concentrate on this side. Is that one which is calling? So I'm going to have to check the western side here. So the squirrel is complaining, looking at this side. And maybe there is a big cat somewhere here. I'm not seeing anything at the moment. So these kind of small animals from the tree, they've got a wide vision. They can be able to see very well from far. Maybe he's seeing something that is very far away from where I am at the moment. So now let's go back to David in the Masai Mara, who got a very beautiful jackal at the moment. So the jackals, maybe they're just trying to have something before they go to sleep, as they sleep early.
Well, I got something exciting shortly, or before I got to the lions, I had promised you, I bumped into this silver-backed jackal. Good morning, sir, or good morning, madam. Belong to the Canidae family, and they normally go in twos. I do not know why she is alone, and I don't know it was who cares who was asking about the pups of the jackals. And if you're still watching, I said stay tuned in. We haven't gotten yet to that den because I was going to the lions, but on the way there I bumped into or found this jackal. Not sure what she is looking for there. They've been known to go for eggs on the ground of some lapwings that will nest on the ground. But I think she just laid down there to have a rest. Most likely at one point we are going to see the partner. But it's not very far. Look at that beauty of the Mara, with all the openness of the savannah. And that is, or that was my destination. Louis, yes, we have always compared jackals to our coyotes in Africa. Not in the same family, but they resemble each other very, very much. So, Louis, I hope I didn't get you out of your jackal or out of our African coyote. I'm now taking you and all the other viewers to the lions. And that's one lioness walking there on in the tall grass. Most likely she's going to join the other two that we saw on the right. And I'm still yet to identify what pride this is. But this is one area where we have always seen a pride called the Olololo. But total we have seen 4. The 2 that were on that termite mound, and the 1 walking in the grass there, and another 1 that was behind us. So I am yet to know what pride it is. Unless most likely they have split. You see that one there on that termite mound. And I'm sure they are enjoying the morning warmth. It's very typical for cats to warm up before it gets pretty warm, and then they'll disappear in the grass and look for some shade. And I'm guessing that termite mound, because of the soil doesn't have any grass cover on it, it must be pretty warm. That's what we call the black cotton soil. And remember, as I told you earlier, should you have any questions, you can tweet #safariLIVE and keep sending your comments. Lions, we've got 3 now, and they're all facing the same direction of the forest. And I think Sydney could be having a different predator in South Africa.
Look at that. Now I've got a lovely sighting as a result of the squirrel. All the credits must go to the squirrel. Squirrel is an honorable animal today because yesterday they have shown me Hosanna. This morning again, they have shown me him. So you can see that he's looking high up. He's checking the carcass. There is some little bit of meat still hanging there, but I can see that he ate quite a lot. So I don't think he's going to spend much time here. He might go up, eat and finish this little bit of food left. So you can see that he's still very tired. Maybe he was feeding early this morning, but I can see that he's coming from the nearest waterhole. It's just from Treehouse Dam, which is about maybe less than 500 meters away from here. So everything is close by. He's got the food and the water nearby. Mark, now that is true. You can see there's just a little bit of food left there, but I think it will be enough for him. You can see that these cats can be very much camouflaged. Look at how he is now lying on the floor there. You can see that with the tall grass, you won't see these cats very easily when they're resting like that. So, but this carcass, to me, it was a big animal. It was a big impala. But looking at his stomach, it's as if he did not eat much. But he ate a lot. So the normal target, the biggest target for this kind of big cats is the animals that can weigh from 18 to 40 kilograms. The animals that prefers the thick bushes, because that is where you can be able to hide nicely to catch them. But when it comes to the animals that prefers the open spaces, they know very well, leopards, that those kind of prey, they've got a very interesting anti-predatory strategy. So now let's go to the bush walk. They're just about to start this morning.
Good morning, one and all. Welcome to another bushwalk with us this morning. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Senzo, and we are looking at the beautiful sun rising on this Heritage Day in South Africa. And how better to celebrate Heritage Day than to focus on some medicinal plants this morning. And I will be harvesting and doing a medicinal segment at some stage during this walk. But why don't we just have a quick moment to reflect on the day with the sun rising in the east through the beautiful, majestic marula tree. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure Sydney and David have informed you already, but don't forget to send your questions, #safariLIVE, or drop them in on the YouTube chat. I am still extremely excited after yesterday's events. If you were not with us on the show yesterday, we happened to find a honey badger, and well, the rest is all history. Fantastic. It was probably the highlight of my guiding career yesterday. Sniffing around, and after a period of time, uncovered a monitor lizard somewhere in the thickets, grabbed at its tail. The monitor lizard somehow got away from the grasp of the honey badger and tried to escape up a dead tree and into a buffalo thorn, but the very clever and tenacious honey badger managed to ferret him out, jumping out of the tree after the monitor lizard that was, well, running for his life, so to speak. And then slowly but surely the honey badger consumed the poor monitor lizard by the lips and face first. It's quite disturbing to watch because, as a lot of people informed me, and as is well known around the world, lizards and reptiles and snakes have a very different system to us. Once you sever our head or our spinal cord, well, everything stops moving. The central nervous system is then kind of corrupted, so to speak, or terminated. Whereas in a lot of lizards and snakes, you can cut their head off and the animal will still move for a period of time. And that is exactly what was happening. So it was quite disturbing to watch this honey badger feeding on the face of an animal that was clearly still moving and writhing. So quite disturbing to watch, but nonetheless part of nature. Predator eats predator, so to speak. Okay, well, I'll be getting into some harvesting techniques and medicinal plants soon as we go along, but in the meantime, David Gitu on this Heritage Day has found a black rhino.
Very good, Steve. Make sure on your Medicinal Monday you make me some nice herbal cup of tea. And we are very lucky. I left my lions because we spotted a rhino from a distance, and this is the black rhino. We've got two species of rhinos in Africa, the black rhino and the white rhino. In this area we are in, the Mara Triangle, we'll always see the black rhino and not any other species. I think she got a little bark or some, of a tree on her back as she is moving there. I initially thought it was an oxpecker, but it's not. And you'll notice she is on a quick pace as she walks through, because black rhinos in general are browsers and not grazers. So she have no business where she is. She will not be eating grass, and should she bend and pick something there, it will be a green plant and not anything else. So you see her just walking and wonder why she's not stopping to eat. It's simply because the black rhinos are browsers and not grazers. If it was a white rhino, she would have stopped there and you'd see her munching grass. Do you want to stop by that tree? Now look very carefully, as much as she is quite a distance from where we are, on the shape of the mouth, and that's what separates black from white rhinos. Sorry, what are the what from the rhino? Safari Kid, I think if you look on that white spot on the back of the rhino, I was saying earlier, it's like a piece of a back of a tree or a leaf that might have fell on it. So is what I was talking about earlier. Most likely is a back of a tree or a big leaf that fell on it as it was passing through the forest. As you can see, Safari Kid, it's approaching another forest. So what happens? Black rhinos, as I said earlier, they are browsers and they tend to remain in the thickets So in the process of them going through the bushes, they might break a leaf or a twig or a branch, and then it remains on its back. So that is not part of it, it's not part of the body of the rhino. They tend to be very solitary, the black rhinos, unlike white rhinos where you might see 1, 2, 3 together. Black in general are very solitary. I was talking earlier on looking at the shape of the mouth that we missed, that is triangular. Chiti Chatimet, always a pleasure to hear your name. In Africa, we have loads of rhinos. We have thousands of them, but also apparently you'll also see them in Asia. So apart from Africa, apart from East Africa or South Africa, we've got other parts of the world, like in Asia, India, where you'll see rhinos. Not only are they found here, but they're also found in other parts of the world. But looking at the African rhino, in general, they're a lot bigger in size than the ones that you'd see in Asia. Very endangered species. Looking at the IUCN status, I would think it's on the red alert. It has faced lots of challenges, especially the black rhino, from poachers. Crystal, enemies of rhinos, I would guess, out here in the bush, nobody. Nobody. Rhinos have no enemies. But if we would say they got enemies, it's us, it's man. As I was just saying a few seconds ago, they have faced big challenges from poachers. But things are getting better with time because the game rangers are doing a wonderful job. They are monitoring them. If you're lucky to see it soon, as you move forward, you will notice on the left ear, it has some notches. And that's what the game rangers will do, just to keep track of them, to know which rhino is where, which rhino has gone where. And sometimes they'll be known to put
I've just left Hosanna sighting. At the moment, I am heading much more towards the Viola pen, as there has just been some contact, kind of a mating call in the area. I'm going to investigate. Maybe Tingana and his girlfriends are here. So you mustn't forget, Tingana has got a new mate which is unknown in the area, which is something very interesting to see. So they have been heard in this area just now. So I will go back to Hosanna afterwards. Hosanna has got a very static sighting, as it is just by the kill. I don't have to worry much about Hosanna at the moment. So I'm trying to check also the tracks here of the two mating pair. No tracks yet, but I am right here by the Viola pen area. So I'm just going to try and pull forward so that I can see this whole area. I'm not seeing anything so far, no tracks, nothing. No movement. So I'm gonna have to go to the other side of the dam wall and see if maybe we can see something from that side. Sometimes the animals can be able to avoid us and come back and walk on our tracks, but not really tricking us. Some of these animals are very shy. A very good example is the female, the new mate for Tingana. She is so very shy. if you come across that one on the road, I can promise you, if you don't see it before, you will just go off the road and come back as soon as you have gone past. Maybe we're going to be lucky with the two mating pair. So their mating started last week, so it might be now close to an end. So now let's go back to the Masai Mara, where David has got a lovely rhino at the moment. Rhinos are some of those animals I haven't seen for quite a long time, specifically the black rhino. Oh, I can see here that there's some tracks for the lions. Can you see them here? Can you see them there? There's lovely lion tracks going down right on the side here. Look at that. So you can see that the lions came down here. Maybe they have been to the waterhole during the night. So that is a very big track. You can see that. So it was not just one, it was quite a lot of them. I can see lots of tracks going down this side. So I'm going to carry on now and see if we can find this leopard. But now seems like we're going to hit two birds with one stone, because now we've got some lion tracks and a mating call has just been heard in the area. So let's just expect unexpected. Oh, these are very, very big tracks. I can see that these are male lions. So now let's go to Steve on a bushwalk, who is just walking in the bushes.
Thanks, Sid. I wonder whose tracks those are. If they are very fresh, well, maybe we'll head in that direction and give you a hand. But what we've spotted here in the tree is a very, very big nest of a community web spider. And very interesting, because on a day like today, Heritage Day is designed for bringing locals and communities alike across South Africa together. So a community web spider, I suppose, can be just an icon for how individuals should be coming together in sense of community. It's a beautiful nest. Together they produce an enormous amount of web so as to catch insects or critters that are much larger than themselves. I know one of my first segments with Senzo back in January, we actually got one of these webs with the community webs feeding on, we think it was a damselfly back then. It was quite interesting to see how they came out en masse. If you do have a fear of spiders, you should steer clear of these individual nests, because if you used a tuning fork, something that some musicians use, well, they will all come out looking for some form of food. But what is quite interesting as well, this is the first little bits of flowers coming through over here of what looks like a red or a russet bush willow. It is indeed a russet bush willow, and the flowers are just coming out. Very, very good. Spring, as we've said many times. You can't really see it too clearly, but the light will get better. And this is good indication that spring is here and the flowers are starting to come out. And with them, their pollinators, being most likely insects in this case, will be following suit shortly in anticipation of the rains. Something that the plants can do. Safari Kid, I have no idea how many spiders are in there. More than 10. I can guarantee you there's more than 10. Could be hundreds, there really could be hundreds of them, but I have no idea. That's quite a big nest. So the difference between trees and grasses is that the grasses have to wait for the rains before they can flower, produce leaves. But the trees have got root systems all the way down to the water table, and daylight hours, the change of daylight hours is actually the catalyst for them coming back into flower or fruit or leaf or whatever it might be. And access to the water is quite noticeable when you find magic guarri plants around here. They are still green, they are still very well connected to the water underneath the ground here. And we are actually just on a little bit of the seep line we've been walking through. The guarri are good indications of seep lines, and if you're not sure what a seep line is, it's basically where very sandy soil meets a clay layer, and moisture within the ground itself, the water table is forced to the surface or low down underneath the surface, and these trees have definitely got access to it. So since we've got another exactly the same tree over here, you maybe get a little bit closer to it now. You can see the little flowers there. I've been promising flowers for some time, and here is a beautiful bush willow flower. Now, looking closely at it, you'd have to try and assume who it is that pollinates this. Ravinda, it is quite warm. I'm trying to think. I reckon the temperature's probably around 18, 19 degrees at the moment, Celsius. I'm not sure. I didn't actually get the update on the weather earlier. I'm sure Emma is about to communicate in my ear exactly what the temperature is. 66 degrees Fahrenheit and 19 degrees Celsius. So that was a good guess. So no layers, but Ravinda, going on bushwalk as well, I generally don't take too many layers. In the winter when it was very cold, well, we could barely move, it was so cold, so willing to take layers with, but today my bag is also full with medicinal plant products, and so I need to make space for that. So we left the jackets at home, but Senzo has got a jacket on, or a nice warm top, but then he does not enjoy the cold at all, do you sense? He has, he's got some warm socks on. He's actually covered them with the gaiters this time. Normally he wears them above the gaiters. I'm not quite sure exactly why. I think because it looks very cool. Hey, Sense? Yep. Okay, so Senzo, the fashion icon, is following me through the long grass here, and I'm searching for another. Here we go. We've got a little stand of them here. I found one earlier, a branch of the sickle bush, and now, there's a little button quail just took off there. And now here is another sample. Here's a sickle bush here. Very easy to identify with these very sharp spines coming off the stems. And you can tell a spine versus a thorn by the fact that the leaves actually grow off of those little branches themselves. Spines are modified branches, thorns are modified stems. So this is the sickle bush, the Dichrostachys cinerea. Dichro meaning two colors. Di and crow is color, and stachys is the spike. And the flower produced by the sickle bush is also known as a Chinese lantern. It's got a beautiful, beautiful color. I don't have a picture on for you now, but it's got a yellow, a red, and a little bit of white in it. So it's actually got three colors, but they call it a two-color spike. But very, very pretty. And these trees can form quite dense stands in an area. And there's 6 or 7 of them here that are growing, all about the same age, probably from the same sort of reproductive stage or state. A few fruits that landed here, and if not managed, this can actually get very, very over bush encroached, and these things are very, very bad for your tires. If you ever have to drive over one of these, well, it goes straight through. The Shangaan name, seeing as it is Heritage Day, we're going to try use some more cultural languages, is called inzenga, which means to penetrate, to go within, and this will go straight through a tractor tire very, very easily. Go straight through my shoe as well. Many, many times I've had sickle bush thorns in my shoe and have to rip them out with my pliers. But also, the sickle bush is known as, it's part of the legume family, so in the Fabaceae family. So very well known to have nitrogen-fixing bacteria in and around the roots. And if you're not sure what that is really, it's a symbiotic relationship where there's bacteria, which is a mycorrhiza. They call mycorrhizas many, many species. Each legume, pretty much, so soya, all the beans you have in the world, all the acacias are all legumes. And they all have the potential. They have symbiotic relationships with these bacteria. And if I hold this branch for you here, imagine these branches here is in fact the roots of the tree. underneath the ground. So each one of those is a root. So what the bacteria do is they actually colonize these roots, and then they grow roots themselves. And what those roots do, they actually have the ability to take nitrogen out of the oxygen or out of the atmospheric air that is in the ground. There is actually air in the ground. They take the nitrogen out of that, fix it, turn it into nitrates, which are then used by the plants in the ground. So nitrogen fixes, taking nitrogen from the atmosphere, fixing it in the ground, and then giving the soil obviously a lot of nutrients. Nitrogen being, chopped my stick, being the number one element in the growth of a plant. So if you want plants to grow, give it some nitrogen. So whenever we talk about fertilizers, we always talk about NPK, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Nitrogen being the biggest for growing a tree. But in the meantime, while we continue on, let's go back up to the Masai Mara with David Gitu.
Well, Monday is a very special day for Steve Ovo, and I hope M in the final control gave Steve my order for some herbal tea. Yesterday was a very dramatic day for me and Manu because we had the most exciting lion sighting in a long time, and we had the sausage trip ride. Thank you very much. And we had some exciting moments where 2 or 3 males fighting over a territory. Now, coming to think of that last night, not sure they were fighting over that territory or they were fighting over a female that was in estrus. There was one lioness yesterday that came from a pride of lions that we call the Owino Pride, and she was initially mating with a youngster, a young male lion, which was nomadic, and I had personally not seen it before. There were 2 of them, and the other one had half a tail. And what Kipuli did, Kipuli, for those who have never joined us before, is a male lion that is in charge, or it belongs to a coalition of lions in that particular area. So early in the morning, Kipuli saw off and chased away the half-tailed lion, and the other nomadic one stayed with the female from the Owino Pride, and they mated like the better part of the day. We went back to camp and came back in the afternoon, and Kipuli was watching the mating from about 100 meters away, and about 5 o'clock Kipuli was like, enough is enough, this is my girl, this is my territory. He went straight to where they were shortly after mating, and he challenged him. We had some epic moments seeing those 2 males fighting. Kipuli got back in his space. So what we are doing today, we'll be heading out to the area that we saw them, and if you're lucky, we might see what is happening. In the meantime, I think we might be seeing other lions in a few seconds. Yesterday and today, I am so spoiled with lions. Manu, tell me at what point to stop. Oops. Not sure this is a lion we have not seen before. She looks very skittish. It's very unlike lion. It looks like a young male to me. Not sure she got some mane on the neck, but as you got closer, he started to crouch in the grass like she was scared of us. So I decided to stop, and I'm having a very soft voice now until maybe she warms up, or he warms up rather, with us, and as we are up to no bad. Good morning. You can tell from the wind on how the grass is being blown. She also keeps twitching the ears. Hello there. Just still a youngster, maybe less than 5 years. Bit of pinkish nose. And yeah, also I do not know what or which lion this is or what pride he belongs to. We have one of our girls in the final control called Nikki, who is an expert, and she'll always help us ID these cats from the office, and she says this one looks also new to her. Manu, have you seen him before? Manu also doesn't. And no wonder as we came close, because the pride of lions, or the coalition of lions in this area that we know or know us, will always warm up with us very quickly. But as we got close to this particular one, he kind of encroached in the grass like to hide and did not look very comfortable the first 10-15 seconds. But I think you can tell now he is fine. And if he can afford to close her eyes and have a little snooze, I think now he likes us. Who are you and where do you come from? Well, with migration around, we'll always tend to see more lions than normal. Mrs. Grumpy, I agree with you. Being a youngster, his ears are very solid. But as you know, as they grow older, they'll get a few tears here and there. They'll always fight for territories. They'll always fight for females. And they'll have lots of claw marks, lots of teeth mark. So as it is, Miss Grumpy, I agree with you 100%. Very nice, solid, round ears. And you can see how he's just moving them depending on the direction of the wind or the speed of the wind, so that he could be able to pick any other sounds from wherever. Good morning, sir. Who are your other friends? We all know lions are very social cats. It's not unusual to see one on its own or two once in a while, but in general, of all the cats we got in the world, lions are very, very social. Where are your friends? There's a fly just going in its right eye there. Bobby, I do not think so. The male that was... We saw two males apparently yesterday missing half-tail. And the first set we saw, the coalition, are what we call the triangle boys. Triangle boys are three fully grown males. Do you see her behavior there? There's another car just passed us and just parked a little closer to it. And you notice how he behaves on seeing a car or hearing maybe an engine running. And then, Bobby, once we left the triangle boys, we moved further and got to meet Kipuli, who was fighting with another nomadic male lion, which incidentally also had half a tail. So I hired it out while he just saw some birds flying up on his head, and that's why he looked up. And this other one had half a tail. Not sure this one has a complete full tail or half, but we'll be finding out shortly. But interesting to see two lions yesterday with half tails. You know, the half tail of the coalition, or the Triangle Boys coalition, and the one nomadic that we saw yesterday. I've been looking at the animals here with either half tails or short tails. Let's say more half tail than short tail, and comparing that to all the animals I saw in South Africa, be they herbivores, cats or elephants. But I've seen more half tails here in East Africa than in South Africa. And we have always had this debate: what really exactly happens? How do you explain lions having half tails? How do you explain elephants having half tails? And we have had theories when elephants as calves, they're crossing, for example, the Mara River, will have, say, crocodiles, trying to bring them down and catching the tails, cutting them. And man from a distance says he can hear an audio or a call from another lion from a distance. Could be behind us. We must have missed it, but we don't see any reaction from this. So either he can't hear it or he is not interested. Because once they call, you can tell from their body language once they pick up. Well, we'll stay here and find out who he is, and let's find out what Stivovo, how his tracking is going on.
Thanks very much. We found some tracks. Some of them are ours at the moment, but what was lying down here, you can kind of see a little bit of skin pattern. And if we go up onto the termite mound over here, you can actually see where the body of this animal was lying. It's not very clear. It's probably at least a day and a half old, but there's little patterns of the skin. This is where an elephant was lying down. They very often like to lie down against termite mounds because their very big, heavy body helps them to lie down, and they don't put as much weight on their lungs. And the evidence that it is indeed an elephant is over here in the poo, which is sitting back here. And we've got a couple more just over there. And good indication of the time of year. You can see the coloration of the elephant dung, very, very orange inside. You can see where it's oxidized, and that's why it makes it very red, because of all the tannin. But when you find dung and it's all sort of smooth like this, it's lost this sort of sheen. That means the insects have moved inside. From dung beetles to all sorts of beetles have moved inside and are making their home. I'm just going to open this very delicately, see if we can find any movement inside. But often your endocoprids, dung beetles, will move inside here, feed on the dung, and then bury it right underneath, or live inside. Right now it's pretty quiet, but by the movement of that and the shape of that dung, good indication that something has moved inside. There we go, look at that. There's a red ant, maybe looking for some food inside there. Very pretty. So this is still a little bit too fresh, but when elephant dung is quite dry, like this piece over here, very nice to burn. You've still got the ant there. I don't know what species of ant that is. One of the red ants on his own. There he is. Off he goes. Sorry about that. But that's the coloration where it's oxidized. Excuse me, I don't know what's in my nose today. I might need some medicinal plants. But by burning this, you can see there's grass in there, there's twigs in there. By burning this, the elephants are, as I've said before, collectors of medicinal plants. And we'll get a multitude of different medicinal values out of this. And very good for smudging and cleansing any negative energy around one's person. And also could help with nosebleeds, as well as maybe fighting any cough that you might have, and also good for keeping away flies, mosquitoes, all sorts of things that the summer will bring. There you go, you can see the bark there. Not very well. Karen, the health of the elephant, you can tell by the fact that a lot of the bark and stuff is still quite chewed up. I know it doesn't completely digest it, but there's a good chance that this is a youngish elephant, still got molars doing very, very well for grinding and sort of crunching up the trees and the stuff that they're feeding on. As they get older, though, you can tell that the teeth are wearing down, because you'll find dung piles that have got entire leaves and everything inside. They haven't really fed or broken it down very easily, and that's because the last set of molars that elephants get, they get 6 sets of molars through their life, and on the last set they really, really struggle to break it down. They don't have the benefit of dentures like we do. We can go to the dentist when our teeth fall out, get new teeth so that we can eat. Elephants don't have that benefit. But on we go. See if we can find a beautiful large sicklebush tree for you to talk more about the wonders of such a beautiful tree in the savanna biome. But in the meantime, it seems like David Gitu has managed to get up close and personal with his lions.
Keep going. Well, we have just found another youngster male here. We want to find out who they are and see if we can identify them positively. The first one did not help us, but now we got another male here. Either there are 2 or so new ones here. And he is calling. Can you hear that? How special is that? Very good. And I hope Miss Grumpy you're still watching, because if you look on this one, Miss Grumpy, on the left ear, on his left ear, it has a bit of tear marks, unlike the first one that we saw. Not very conspicuous, not very remarkable, but if you look carefully, it got a bit of a torn left ear. And the other one now is right in the middle of the road. And I do not know whether Nick, in the final control, would be able to identify which these youngsters are. To me, they look like two young males. And this area we have noticed, or we have always seen a pride of lions called Rhino. And they have always had one youngster. They're always 5 in total. One female was mating with Kipuli yesterday. Kipuli is a male lion that is in a different area from here. But the Rhino pride are 5 in total, as I said earlier. So minus 1 female, we are left with 4. 3 females, and there's always 1 youngster male. Now these are 2 youngsters. So I highly doubt, could it be part of the Olololos? Olololo pride have also been known to come this far. Very full belly he got as he's coming either to the brother to join him. The brother is the one who was calling earlier. I do not know who these are. Jeanette, my guess is they're definitely brothers. They look very identical, same size, same age for me. So possibly they are of the same litter, Jeanette. I agree with you. And see, Jeanette, how they blend in very well in the grass there. Oops, good morning, my brother. Yes, that was a clear sign. It's a young male. Hello, how sweet is that? Oh, there's lots of love between them. Fantastic. Again, you can see the testicles below the tail there, which proves 100%. The 2 boys. Where are you going? Stay there and keep playing. Don't move. So I would now start doubting they belong to the Rhino pride, because trying to remember the male in the Rhino pride is much bigger to me than this. Manu, do you recall that? Yeah, so we are now ruling out them being part of the Rhino pride, unless they are also neo-nomadics, or they just got kicked out from a different pride that we do not know, and they've been told, by the females there, or the male in that coalition, go look for jobs and get your own wives or get your own coalitions. And the other one is still calling from a distance. So it moved. Manu, do you want us back up a little bit? Because he has just moved. Let's find out. He is calling, looking behind. Not sure who he is calling, or my guess is if they are not part of the Rhino that we have rolled out, they could be part of the Olololos. We are not seeing any ID mark that you can tell on this particular one who he is. He has warmed up with us now and not skittish as before. Minamu, always a pleasure to hear your name. And 2-3 years, lion will be comfortably showing great sign of mane. And by 4 years, it fully grown. And yeah, that will be for the males. 2-3 years, and by the 4th year, you can tell it's well established. But of course, depending on the family or the genetics the lion come from, we have seen some males, for example, Kipuli, having massive mane, and Scarface we saw yesterday. For those who are watching, the new male that was trying to snatch the female from Kipuli had a shorter mane. So always it depends on the genetics, but in general 3 to 4 years it will be quite established. Good morning, sir. And which pride do you come from? I'm not sure it has a little scar on the right eye there. Manu, do you see that? So once in a while they're involved in fights. Could have been an infection. But yesterday we saw Kipuli getting some big damage on his right ear from that nomadic male they were fighting with. So males have been known to fight for each other. They may be these ones, I doubt at their age, they should have, or they have tried to challenge any other males. Could have been a play fight and then it hurt itself, or it was hurt by another one. So what does that mean? What attention did you get? So both of them are going in a particular direction. What I'm going to do, I might have to reposition. Sorry, Em, bring that question again. Dr. Ruff, a very good morning, and always again, very big pleasure to hear your name. I would say lions will not keep their spots for long, and by the time they're getting to say 7 years, the spots might have faded out. So anything now, they'll keep them until they're about 7 years, and those spots will go. When they're pretty young, you'll still keep seeing their spots on them. So we're going to try and see if they can catch up with these lions, find out where exactly they're going. And the two brothers seems to be on the move. But either way, they're still calling. Not sure who they are calling or where they want to go. Let's just stop there. So let's just move and get to the first one, and maybe you can have them together and maybe find out where they're going. Sorry, Amy, it's quite windy. Not sure I got your comms there. Let's just wait to see what they're going to pass. And come again. Was it a question? So they keep on calling. We do not know who they are calling or what they want to do or where they want to go. Can you hear them calling there? Very good. I guess there's a particular pride they belong to. Maybe when you go back to camp from the shots we have taken today, we'll be able to identify them and know what pride they belong to. But tentatively for now, I'm guessing they may belong into the Olorola pride. It's a huge pride, and most likely the first lions we saw, because that's the direction they're going, they might have split last night and they're going to rejoin the main group. Because on such huge pride of lions, it's difficult to identify them all, but you can always have maybe the fully grown ones to know who they are, or the males in the coalition. Fantastic. All right, let's go across to Sydney and he'll give us his latest update.
I've got a very, very big alarm call here. There's quite a lot of birds here and the squirrels are making a lot of noise. Maybe it is here where Hosanna and the new mates are. So I'm trying to check everywhere and it's just noisy everywhere. Interesting. The bush is talking to me now. So I'm just going to pull forward and see if we can find something. But here I can promise you something is happening here. So all these birds are making noise all the way much more down this side. So maybe it is here where the cats are hiding at the moment. Even the hornbills are there. All these different kinds of birds are all here. So you can hear that the birds, they are giving a serious alarm call. Something is happening here. It's just that I am not seeing what exactly is happening, but there is something here that these birds are voting against. So we're just gonna go down the drainage line and see what exactly is bothering these birds here. And the squirrels were also making noise as well, together with the birds at the same time. Have you spotted something? Okay. So my camera operator is just trying to check here. It seems like he spotted something, not too sure. No, it's just a branch. It's a log there. So we're just gonna check this drainage line here and see if we can find something. And these birds don't want to leave the area. They are still here, all of them. So let's see what we are going to find deep in here. So these birds are still making a lot of noise in this area, much more there. So they are in this drainage line now. Oh, they are chasing an owl. It is an owl. It's not a predator. I can see there's an owl that just flew now there. Have you seen that owl? So this is difficult for the access. It's just by that big tree, but I think we can see that big tree from here. So there's a spotted eagle owl that these birds are fighting against there. Can you see that big owl? That big tree there? Right at that big tree is where that owl is. So these birds, they are now fighting against one of their predators in the area. So there is an owl right there. It is a spotted eagle owl. Oh, it's not an owl, it's a wallback eagle, yeah. So those are some of these big birds that predate the small birds. Look at that. So this is a mobbing behavior. So the birds, different species, they help each other when there is a predator in the area. And they grow up with this kind of a knowledge. Every time one gives out an alarm call, they come to support. The eagles can eat the other birds, specifically the small birds. So that's why the birds are not comfortable with their presence. They are not trustworthy. So we're just going to carry on now and see if we can find something. So now let's go back to the bushwalk. Steve has got something to share with you, very interesting.
Yes, I do indeed. Well done. It could have been a giant eagle owl, but Wahlberg's eagle, well, I'm sure you'll take that as well, Sydney. So what we've done is we found another little stand of sickle bush, and in natural conditions, this is kind of what happens. And why we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably about 10 individuals just in this little circle. There's another 10 or so over there and another 5 or so over there. And what has happened essentially is that the pods of the sickle bush are very, very tasty, and they're eaten by pretty much every single animal out here, including monkeys, giraffe, kudu, elephant. And what has happened right here, if I look really close down on the ground, there's a whole lot of, this was actually a big pile of elephant dropping. It's quite old now. This is all that's left of it. but the soil has been turned back into soil by termites. And what probably would have happened is there might have been a bit of shade here in the summertime. That's when the sickle bushes have their fruits out, and elephants would have eaten a lot of the seeds, and then through the dung piles, just like the ones we saw a little while ago, the elephant droppings, been deposited here. A nice sort of environment for those seeds to go forward. I don't know if sickle bush needs to go through the digestive system to be able to be germinated. There are a lot of plants out there that do, but in the case here, that's why we've got a little stand here, a little stand over there, and a little stand over there. I wonder if anyone out there can remember what the ecological term is for seeds that are distributed by animals. Hashtag safariLIVE, or drop it there in on the YouTube stream chat. Let me know if you can remember. I did teach you all this a few months ago. See if you can remember. It is a very nice word, very easy word to remember. And what I've done here as well is I've grabbed one of these pieces of sickle bush, and they make a very, very nice firewood. It's quite a firm piece of wood, and not only does it burn very, very well, but you can also use it for implements. So if you get a nice piece of it, you can use it for a hammer handle or an axe handle or even a pick handle, any type of digging implement that you might want to use. Obviously, we're not going to be building any metal buildings, for example, but it'll work very, very well for all sorts of implements. And the wood is quite hard. So in areas in South Africa where overgrazing has occurred, you get these extremely dense stands of sickle bush. And what has been happening is people have designed machines and equipment to go in there and remove these things. And obviously the byproduct of the wood is where they make their money back, because an area that is covered in sickle bush from a production point of view is absolutely zero. So by clearing them and rehabilitating that area, well, you can make some money out of the firewood, which is good to know. But in a natural condition, this is how they grow. This is how they do their thing. And elephants smash these things completely. You don't often find them any bigger than this, because elephants really, really do enjoy them. We'll get into the medicinal value of them in a little while, but nice to see them in their natural environment. One of the most common trees that you do find in Project Alpha has got the answer correct. I wonder anyone else was able to get it as well. We'll just give it another moment to see if anyone else can answer and get the right answer. Project Alpha, you have indeed, sir, gotten it correct. Nice to hear from you again. It's been some time. But the distribution of seeds, you can often look at a plant and think about its age in the environment and know how it distributes its seeds. Is it by wind? It's quite an ancient way of doing it. Is it by wind, by water? Also quite ancient. By fire? Those are three elements that were here long before many of the plants actually occurred. And then you get insects, which are obviously predated any bird or mammal species. And then you get birds, which came from reptiles. Birds and mammals, kind of a similar sort of time. So some species distribute their seeds by birds, namely many fig species, and that we can call my word, I am forgetting my own language here. We call avicory because it is transported by birds. If it's wind, aerocory, which is quite easy. Hydrocory in the case of water. And in the case of animals, indeed, Project Alpha, very easy. We go to the zoo to look at some animals sometimes, or zoology is a study of animals. So zoocory is indeed the distribution of seeds by mammalian. And Project Alpha gets an A. Project Alpha, A for Alpha. Very good. Well, Herbie seems to have pulled up a pew and is having a little bit of a relaxing morning. Aren't you, Herbie? Very nice to be out. I think it is going to be a very warm day today. The sun has come out, and there's a little bit of a haze on the environment. Lots of dust, possibly fire somewhere yesterday. I can't smell it, but there's just this really weird coloration in the sky. But in the next little while, we're going to find ourselves a shady spot to sit down. I'm going to set up the medicinal plants that I have and see exactly how deep into the culture of South Africa and this plant we can go. A very popular plant locally. I'm sure Sydney would be able to tell you lots of fantastic stories from his culture as well with regard to the sickle bush. Because, I mean, the evolution of a lot of humanity has come from the ability to dig and use tools. And if you're able to use this as a tool, well, you would go a lot further. But anyway, enough of me in Heritage Day. I think David Gitu, once again in the Mara, is probably still with his lions. Not 100% sure, but let's go see what they're doing.
We got a bird that is hunting here for some beetles. You see where he's looking on the ground there is to see if it could get an insect to go down for quite a distance from where we are. But this is a roller, and this is the lilac-breasted roller. Lilac-breasted roller. I have always said this is the most beautiful bird we got in Africa. That's for me. I'm sure other people will have different feelings. Of all the birds I've seen in the world and maybe even outside Africa, I think this roller is my favorite. You'll always see them like flying from where they are once they spot some prey and grab some food. Chadwick, yes, it is a colorful bird. Anytime I see it in flight and I try to identify how many colors she got, I have always counted about 6-7 different colors. And that by any standard. You know, so many colors for the size of that bird. Have green, lilac as the name suggests. There's a bit of white as you can see there. Purple, blue, a bit of black. Green on the head. A bit of bluish too. And unlike beetles that will always catch the prey in flight, you'll notice the lilac-breasted rollers will always fly on the ground, pick whatever insect it is, and then fly back to where they had perched before. And they tend to crush their prey first before swallowing them. Crush the skeleton so that it doesn't get stuck on their neck. Mara Safari, may I first say I really love your name, Mara Safari. That's a great name. Well done. And to me, that is the bird I would say is the most colorful bird. Well done, Manu. To me, I would say that's the most, well, we have bee-eaters, but Mara Safari, I want to keep to what I have loved. And this is the bird, Mara Safari, I would say is the most colorful bird we have in Africa. Well, we have bee-eaters that are also equally quite colorful, but maybe not like this roller here. And especially when you see her in flight. She's now trying to balance herself as she looks down to see any movement of an insect, and then she'll just fly down, pick it up, either try and crush the skeleton there or come right back. Chris, always good to hear your name, but we have always looked at sexual dimorphism of certain birds. And I'll tell you, Chris, this one gives me personally and many other birders a challenge. Males and females are almost identical. Very difficult to tell them apart. Unlike certain birds, again, like bee-eaters or some weavers, you can tell males from females. The rollers, and especially this particular type, this particular one here, it's very difficult to tell male from female. Just like some, ground eagles that we call the secretary birds, it's difficult to tell the male from the female. This one, we have tried to look, and it's very difficult. Unless we have said, unless you see them mating, or you see when they have chicks and you can tell that chances could be the female, or when you see the mating and then you can say 100% the one on top is the male. This particular roller is difficult to tell male from the female. Are you trying to look down, see whether you can catch something for yourself and then fly back up there? Maybe later. She might be doing that. So in the background there, you see some mountains or some escarpment. That's what we call the Olololo escarpment for those who have never joined us before. We have always said we're in the Mara Triangle, and the Mara Triangle Game Reserve means is a reserve with 3 boundaries, and the Olololo escarpment that you see there is one of the side of the triangle, the other side being formed by the Mara River, which is very famous for migration as the wildebeest and the zebras cross, and the other side or the other arm of the triangle is the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. That's why when we introduce ourselves, we'll always say we are in the Mara Triangle with those 3 arms that form a basic triangle. Well, Aurora will maybe leave you there. I'm hoping you'll be able to get some prey for yourself, to feed yourself. And we'll move on finding out what we have out here. Okay. Okay, key to go. All right. Okay, from Aurora, we'll go all the way to Sydney, and he'll got some update for us.
I am now around the Galago Pen area to try and see if I can pick up some tracks of these two, but it's very much difficult. It seems like these two are in a big block because I am not the only one looking for them at the moment. It's quite a lot of vehicles, but no luck yet. I've got some very interesting and shy animals there, the warthogs. I know a lot of people, they've got a confusion between the warthogs and the bush pigs. The bush pigs and warthogs, they don't look the same. So they are all pigs, but the warthogs in size, they are way much smaller than the bush pig. And the warthogs, they've got little hairs. The bush pigs, they've got too much hairs. And the bush pigs, they have got elongated face without warts. The warthogs, they've got flat face with warts. And whenever I see the warthog running, they lift up their tails just to show their little ones, we are going to this side. Whereas the bush pigs don't raise up their tails. So bush pig stays on the ground, warthog stays under the ground. So that's why the bush pigs are termed fossorial animal, terrestrial animals, because they stay on the ground. Warthogs, they are fossorial, they stay under the ground. Minamu, I didn't copy your long question very well. If final control, you can repeat that. Ninamu, the most reliable animal when it comes to the contact call I trust the most these days is the squirrel. The squirrel has just proven to me yesterday and today that I can find this animal. But apart from these 2 days, every time squirrels, they do give alarm calls. The problem is they don't only give alarm calls when they are big predators. They give alarm calls when there is birds that predate them, when there are snakes as well. Every time when there is an animal that threatens their life, they give an alarm call. So it's not always about the big predators. But all these other animals, such as the birds as well, is the same thing. Only when it comes to the prey animals, the antelopes, those are the ones who gives an alarm call due to the presence of their predators in the area. So now let's go back to David, who's got some lovely bird on a tree. I'm not too sure what species of bird is that.
We are seeing a long-crested eagle here in such a location that it's just hiding or trying to shield itself from the wind. And we call her the long-crested eagle because if you look behind her head, she got like a crest. See the yellow eye and hooked beak, which is very characteristic of all eagles or most eagles. And she's just sitting on a torchwood tree. And I'm convinced she's looking down there for either mice or rats. That's what they tend to feed on. And you can see the cirri there being yellow right behind the hooked beak. Very sharp eye she got. Very windy. You can see how the leaves and the twigs. And yeah, very good. Manu does a lot of magic work on the camera. Sometimes it is a lot of leveling to get to such a great view on the screen. And then we'll always try not to invade the space of these birds, not to move them or to make them fly away. So very quietly and slowly we have to maneuver to get to the right angle and to give you wonderful views like what you see there. She's just maintaining her feathers, just a bit of preening there. Early morning, it's very normal for most birds to do that before they plan their days, either flying or having an aerial hunt, if they'll be gliding in the air as they'll be looking for food on the ground. And I've got a feeling the wind is just helping her to maintain her feathers. A bit of scratch here and there, realign them also. It's too strong wind. I doubt the smaller birds, like what we were watching earlier, can stand this kind of wind at the moment. I've seen these eagles catching baby antelopes. Example, I'm talking about, for example, the Thompson gazelles, but very, very tiny one. They would just fly and try and grab them with their tussles or their claws, fly up with them, sometimes let them down, just like the martial eagles would do. They also go for snakes, any other reptile, for example, skinks or lizards. They also go for smaller birds, any small birds than them, or eggs of other birds that have been known to feed on them. A long-crested eagle. You look beautiful where you are. No worries. This is one eagle, or like most eagles, you always see them flying on their own or being on their own. Not common to see two together. So that's why I'm not surprised. Look at those feathers there. In the village I come from, we would pick feathers from eagles way back when either eagles, would die naturally and would make some headgears, and those headgears would put them on, or the people who would be celebrating in particular dances, for example, wedding dances or dances when there were, big or nice bumper harvests, and people would dance having them on their heads. And the men would make sure the feathers they had on their headgear were for the males, and the girls would make sure the feathers they had on the headgears were for the female eagles. And I have always wondered how would they tell which feathers were which, and I kept laughing. And every time my grandmother would tell me, just keep quiet, this is how it is. Men have feathers of male eagles and girls have feathers of female eagles. I highly doubted that. And to me, I think they are both the same, both from the males and the females. The feathers should identically be the same. But of course, we've got certain birds where you can tell males from females, but not sure the feathers would tell them apart. Remember, this is a very interactive safari we are doing, so your questions and comments are very welcome. Keep tweeting on #safariLIVE. Well, Long-crested eagle, we want to wish you a great day. And we are going to move on now. From a distance, I think I might have spotted some giraffes. We're going to drive there. Referring, domesticating birds has been prohibited in Africa. And if you look at this eagle, I would feel sorry for it if I would keep it in a cage or as a pet. What we have seen people doing illegally is keeping parrots in their homes. And I think they have chosen parrots unlike all other birds because parrots are very intelligent. Parrots are very intelligent birds. And I believe people may struggle, say, to keep eagles in their homes and also to be able to feed them, knowing most eagles are raptors that go for meat it will be also be difficult to keep them. So I haven't seen anybody domesticate the long-crested eagles or any other type of eagle apart from parrots, which we are also trying to discourage in Africa. All right, Igor, have a great day. We may have to move on, look for other friends or other eagles or the birds. Manu, we might have to reverse. You have to hold on where you are with a tight angle. Okay, good to go. Oh, is it Manu? Good? All right. Okay. I was saying earlier, from a distance I saw some giraffes, which I've not seen for the last few safari segments I've been doing. And maybe after we see the giraffes, we might go look for our friends, hyenas. And I'll link you to one of my friends in South Africa. I didn't get his or her name very well because of the winds right now, but let's go all the way to Djuma. We got Steve.
Thanks, David. We are still on the search for an enormous sycamore tree so as to do a little bit of a segment underneath. But what we have found a beautiful granite rock. You can tell that. Let me just get it in the light. Tell that by the very large crystals inside. And the reason for this is just the shape of it is quite sort of nice and axe-like, isn't it? So what we're looking for, I've got my sickle bush stick and I want to get some fibre, so we're going to try and find the terminalia, the silver cluster leaf, and then tie that on there like that, and lo and behold, we have a weapon of sorts. If it could work, I think it would be able to work. Just going to have to figure out some really good knots. But evolution of man would have been something like this. They would have picked up tools on the ground, stones like this. There's a lot of other stones they would have used, most likely dolerite and the like. A little bit a nice hard rock, but also with easily cutting surfaces that they can mold. You can't really mold a granite rock. If I break this, it's just going to break. You're not going to really get edges and cutting edges. This is just a beautiful one that we found to serve the purpose. So you could make a tool out of that, and that's how, as man, we evolved from something very simple to now. And I was discussing it last night, in fact, that evolution of man would have been very interesting. One guy would have come along and given me a rock, and with that rock I would have been able to make a tool, and on and on and on we passed on that information, flints and fires and tools, to today where we can operate in someone's brain with a microscope. Isn't that incredible? And once upon a time we were using tools with this sort of nature to conduct our daily business. And now, well, you know it, where we've gotten to in this world. Quite incredible what the human mind has been able to concoct and create for oneself. And that's all because of the ability of us to pass on information. Through dialect, through conversation, we were able to, with our large brain capacity, formulate words and conversation and explain to Senzo in words that, Senzo, if you go down to the river there, you will find large buffalo, but be careful because there are... Ooh, there's a hyena calling. But be careful because there's 3 lions off to the right. So with that information, Senzo could learn exactly what he needed to do. And then he could communicate with someone else exactly the same story. And so it went on. The stories got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then they learnt how one guy one day figured out how to hunt a buffalo. And then he communicated that with someone. And then someone else learned how to hunt the buffalo, and then they learned how to hunt elephants, and slowly but surely over time, this information which was accumulated and collected was passed on from generation to generation, which is what I'm trying to achieve with a lot of these Medicinal Monday programs, is to try and pass on some information, cultural information of plants in the wilderness that have been used for a very, very long time for all sorts of ailments and historical bodily functions, which is always very interesting. Mountain chaser, that's a very good question. I don't know how many plants, but I actually looked for my master's thesis. I looked at 6 individual plants in South Africa that were still being harvested wild, from the wild obviously, and not being produced. And my thesis actually looked at organically growing some of these plants and looking at some harvesting methods so as to figure out how can we propagate these things in a sort of natural environment, but at the same time being able to use and harvest it. Because if you wild harvesting, the problem is with wild harvesting, especially in South Africa, we got 27 million known users of medicinal plants. Now, if each of those individuals is going out and chopping a tree down or digging up the roots or debarking it on one side, the plant's eventually going to die. So those plants are being lost from the environment. So my thesis was basically looking at the feasibility of growing 6 specific plants from the Cape under sort of natural conditions using organic material so as to grow them and hopefully, could be a marketing point at some point. But I had some successes, had some failures, but none of that work had been done before. All the work could be done on the actual components of the plants in the wild. And when we look at plants growing wild, they generally have quite high nutrient compositions or phenolic compounds, the medicinal properties we're looking for, because when they're growing in the wild, they need to be strong because the environment is harsh. If you grow a plant in a nursery with fertilizer and lots of care, they generally don't have the same punch in them that you would have if they were grown. What's that, Herbie? Herbie's got a quiz for you, so I'm not quite sure what it is. It's, wow. Herbie, what have you done here? Herbie's got a quiz. What do you want to ask, Herbie?
What is this?
What is this, Herbie wants to know. It's bizarre.
What's this made of?
It's very intriguing. Did you make this, Herbie? You did, eh? Yeah, Herbie has joined some things together here. What are they? The stick in my fingers, I think I can tell what it is, but the other piece of wood that looks like a mushroom, I have no idea. Herbie's being full of games this morning. He has gone and made something over there, and I'm sure we will all find out the answer in a little while. Anybody can guess what that is. But from a medicinal point of view, it's very interesting to understand what's going on in the environment. And it's not a champagne cork, glycerizer. It's not. They're both wood. A very nice smell. Herbie's never done this before. It's a first for me, seeing something like this. Something is sad. You want to know if it's a whistle. It's not. It's actually, the stick in the middle is a stick, and then he's gone and attached 2 bits of some sort of wood on the end. I'm not quite sure. It might be some form of whistle. Doesn't work. Captain Winkle, it might be a musical instrument. Herbie's just disappeared off over there. I don't know the answer. So you can all be asking me, saying these comments, but we need to find out from the creator of this very interesting device. I've never seen anything quite like it. Well, keep your medicinal questions coming through. We're going to be setting up shortly, once we find a nice shady spot, setting out all of our wonderful discussions for the medicinals this today. But in the meantime, let's go to the heritage man himself, Sydney.
I just got very, very fresh tracks of both Tingana and the new girlfriend. What I'm going to do now is to check where these tracks got disappeared into. I can see that they were right on the road not long time ago. Chances of seeing this mating pair, they are very high this morning. So those trucks, they just got disappeared somewhere here. I just want to confirm where these trucks are heading to, and then we can track them down. So these trucks got disappeared somewhere here. And there is even a hyena following these leopards. Maybe the hyena is hoping these leopards are hunting, and they are not on hunting activities. They are just together for mating purposes. So they got disappeared somewhere in this area. So I'm just gonna switch off the engine and listen to the mating calls. Maybe they might make some kind of a mating call, because that is how easily we can get them. Yeah, I can see their tracks here. Going back where I'm coming from now. I'm just gonna turn here so that I can confirm the direction of movement of these tracks. And these tracks looks very, 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 very fresh. Can you see them here? Can you see the tracks? So you can see that the tracks for these cats, they are very, 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 very fresh. We have got the hyena and the leopards there. Yeah, so that is Tingana. So that is his clear track, and the female as well is working with him. So I have seen some of the female tracks. So we're just going to try by all means and investigate their direction of movement, because I can see they were on the road here and suddenly went off the road. So I just want that part where they went off the road. Yeah, Tingana is maintaining this very short relationship which just occurs during the mating season. Once we get where these tracks went to, the chances of seeing these two, they are very much high. So I can see there. The male tracks are much more larger than the female tracks. So the female tracks, they are much more small. You can easily distinguish from the size on the ground. So I can see here that these tracks came down. I'm still following these tracks. I'm just looking for the part where these leopards went off the road. So according to the evidence here, it seems like these leopards went down this side. It seems like they went down this side. So we're going to have to try another road now and see if the tracks are going to come out. So now let's go back to the bush walk and see how they are doing on the side.
Thanks, Sidis. Good luck with those tracks. Hopefully you can find Tingana. That young lady is a little bit skittish. She doesn't. That's why we didn't go into the area, because they just move. She doesn't like being spotted on foot. So, just to round off my discussion before about medicinal plants, there are a lot now that are being commercially grown for commercial use, of course. Lots of medicinal gardens around the world. I couldn't give you offhand. I mean, there's one product down in the Cape called Scaletium, which has got a little bit of an amphetamine sort of feel to it. It's a very relaxing sort of, it's almost like part of the Mesembryanthemum family. And they can make it into powder, and it just calms people. It helps with sleep. And it just relaxes people. And it's a natural plant grown in the wilderness, and people are growing it now commercially. I've got a few friends that actually are producing it and selling it, and it's very calming, very soothing for the human being, and not addictive at all. There's a lot of other plants, Catha edulis, also known as Bushman's tea, which is very popular in sort of North Africa. We got the similar sort of plant down here. Doesn't have the same components, and it is highly, highly regarded up there. It's called cat, and they chew it, and it actually got a narcotic effect all over Somalia, countries in that sort of area. The people are constantly chewing cat, and that is grown commercially. And there's a number of other plants that slowly, as we're realizing that the wilderness areas are diminishing, that are slowly being grown. And the plants I looked at, one was cancer bush, Sutherlandia frutescens, which is actually well known. They're using in a lot of cancer remedies and cures these days. I can't tell you exactly the degree of it. I was just looking at the actual plant growth. Then Artemisia afra, which is African wormwood, grows very, very easily. It is an A to Z medicinal plant and grows very, very well. Oopsie, I've dropped my little piece on the floor. We're going to give you the answer to the quiz. We're just going to make you dig in a little bit deeper before. Ant dumbbells, that was so funny. Looks like an ant dumbbell, doesn't it? Senza got excited when ant dumbbell came up because he's been doing a bit of gym lately. If you walk past the gym, there's Senza busy lifting weights, getting in shape, trying to get his summer body on. Aren't you, Sens? What else did I grow? I also grew honeybush tea. If you're familiar with rooibos tea is a very popular tea in South Africa, and that is grown all over the country, in the Cape mainly, should I say, but it's actually exported. It's known as a redbush tea around the world. In the UK and Australia, they call it redbush tea. It's a famous plant. It's grown all over the place, but when they first cultivated it, they just ploughed famous land and cultivated just like you would have done grapes or maize or wheat or anything like that. But with honeybush tea, they've realized that it's actually a far better tea than rooibos. And what they've done now is, because of environmental laws and conservation sustainability, they're looking at growing honeybush naturally in the landscape and harvesting it naturally in the landscape, living in a fynbos environment. So going through the natural fire regimes, all of those things that keep the system natural. Obviously, if there's a cultivated land already that's been ploughed and opened up and the natural vegetation is gone, well, you can cultivate honeybush there. But if it's a fynbos stand, they want it to be sustainable. They want the plant species diversity to remain there, because fynbos is the most diverse biome in the world. And so to just plough it off to grow a plant is not ideal. So a lot of the studies they're looking at is how to grow it. I looked at propagating it from seed as well as from cuttings, and the cuttings do very, very well. The seeds actually require a little bit of smoke to get them going. And as we were talking about rhizomes before, or bacteria, all of the fynbos, or most of the fynbos plants, have actually got a symbiotic relationship with the rhizobacteria to access nitrogen in the soil, because fynbos soils down in the Cape are very, very poor, very low in nutrients, and very, very high in acidity. So I grew honeybush tea from cuttings, worked beautifully well, and it makes a very sweet tea. When you boil the leaves, an infusion, if you will, it's got a very nice honey taste, as the name implies, and it's actually being marketed now, and it's coming through with an organic sort of standing, and there's no need to fertilize. It just grows naturally in the environment. So Kalina, you're not a fan of rooibos. Honeybush and lemongrass are much better. Well, I like rooibos with a little bit of honey, so that's why honeybush tea works very, very well. You don't have to add anything to it at all. So that's it for me for the moment. A couple other plants I was doing as well. But what exactly is this? We'll give you the reveal in a little while. Keep you all anticipated on the end of your toes. Can't go anywhere because you need to find out what the ant dumbbell really is. So Herbie is still trying to find me a bit of twine so as to make my tool. Senzo is adamant that we finish this tool off before we sit down and do our medicinal segment. So we're busy searching. Herbie, it guarantees me we're going to find the perfect specimen to make some rope. Here is another sickle bush itself. The sickle bush actually makes very nice fiber. You can burn it, works very well, comes off quite well. You grind down the bark. Bark's actually quite useful for nosebleeds. You sniff it. Actually good for your nosebleed. Arlel Moore, it is not a makeup applicator. This is 100% made and found in the African wilderness by Herbert Khoza. I'll give you a clue. There's actually 4 pieces to this that he's just gone and attached together to make it look quite funny.
Can you give them a clue just a bit?
Sorry?
A clue.
A clue. It is part of a tree. Here is the stick that he's attached these to. And you can see there's some little gnaw marks over there. There's in fact 3 of them. That's 1, And these are two over here that he's just gone and attached together to make a little mushroom-like effect. There's the inside. There's some form of seed pod inside here at one stage. And that, I'm not going to break it apart because he's made it look so pretty. Okay, so there we go. Wonder if anyone's seen these before. Dismantle them, put them in 4 parts, and then tell me. We're looking really for what these things are over here. Okay, on we go. Let's make this axe handle sense. We want to do some digging. We're going to make an axe handle, and then Senzo and I are going to fight. I'm going to take my stick, and he's going to take the axe. A lot of you think it's a pipe or a flute. Well, he's made it look like that, but it's got absolutely no musical tone to it at the moment. But I thought it as well. I thought maybe let's give it a whistle, but nothing actually ever came about. It blows through the back there, so it's got a bit of a... That was Senzo whistling. Too funny, Sens, too funny. Anyway, I'm sure Herbie's going to find us some fibre soon. We're going to make ourselves a bit of rope, make our axe handle, and then I'm going to delve into the wonders of the sickle bush, which is in fact the A to Z of medicinal plants out in the African wilderness. The leaves are favoured, loved, absolutely loved by most browsing animals. And as I said, the pods are eaten readily by pretty much anything out here. The pods are all gone at the moment. Some of the pods that I did find are still on the tree, but they've been infested by insects. They've got a little bit of mold on them, so we're not going to be doing too much with the pods today. But with the seeds, you actually can make some nice ointments. Okay, well, Herbie's just up here. I think he's busy making our rope for us. Should I use my whistle to get his attention? Senzo keeps whistling whenever I pretend to whistle. It's too cute. Dogs could hear it, definitely. Wild dogs, wouldn't that be marvelous to see on foot? Yeah, it is indeed Herbie's secret weapon. This is how he finds the leopards, with his homemade whistle. Okay, well, carry on. I'm sure we'll find the fibre soon to make our branches, to make our axe. I think he's hiding from us now, Senzo. He's right here. He was right here a second ago. So you'll see as we keep moving through, just these little stands of the sickle bush just keep popping up. They're not in enormous amounts because this is the natural environment. There's no need to be managing. But if this area was at one stage possibly a cattle farm, or maybe a sheep were here or anything like that, the environment would be completely degraded and this thing would move in. Sickle bush is a known pioneer and it colonizes areas, and obviously that's part and parcel of what these plants do. If an area is highly disturbed, well then this moves in. I didn't copy anything there. Was there a link? Okay, sorry about that. So this does move in and it will form dense stands, but out here in the natural environment, it just got these little pockets, and once again, a few of them over here, probably distributed by elephant droppings, and here they are doing their thing, and you can see by the top of it, broken, because everything is feeding on them. Lots of elephant. The leaves are favoured by kudu, a lot of the browsers, but at the moment there's none, but I do have a couple in my pocket. Okay, well, while we continue on here, I'm sure we're going to come right with what we need to do very soon. In the meantime, let's go over to Sydney and see if he's managed to find the mating pair.
I have managed to find the very fresh tracks, and they are now in this block. I can see the mating pair is somewhere deep in here, so I'm hoping to see them from this side if they are very close to the road. If not close to the road, I'll see if maybe we can have an alternative plan of going in here. So these cats, they are somewhere here. I even saw some of the old Tandy's tracks as well. It's not only Tingana and the new girlfriend who are here, also Tandy is in the very same area. So I wonder what is going to happen if Tandy accidentally meet Hosanna's new girlfriend. So a very big fight might take place there. And I don't know what Tingana is going to do when the females are fighting. Maybe he's going to side with the new girlfriend. So we are listening to the alarm calls at the same time, everything in this area. So these tracks are heading much more towards this road where we are. Maybe we are going to be lucky here. So I'm trying to listen to the bush here just to see if I'm going to pick up any of the alarm calls. It's very, very quiet at the moment. So if there is no luck here, I'm gonna have to head down to Hosanna and see how he's doing with his kill, and maybe if there is any more chance, see if we can also visit the hyena den. The lions and leopard tracks, they are completely different. The lion tracks, they are much more bigger than the leopard tracks. And if you can check the leopard tracks, the toes, you will see they develop a very nice round shape, whereas the lions are much more oval. So that is how you can easily distinguish between the leopard and the lion tracks. Lions are very much heavy. You will see on the ground where they have gone past. Their tracks, they are very much clear and deep. So now I will be heading back to that other side where Hosanna is, as I am battling here to get hold of this mating pair. So let's go and see the other spotted cats. So these cats, they can sleep and they can be very much flat. After mating, I saw also a few days ago, Hosanna prefers to sleep, and also the new mate is preferring to sleep. So shortly after mating, they relax and they sleep. And now that the sun is getting stronger, it's getting very warm now, I think that is one of the contributing factors towards them to hide. So the bush is very much open here. If these cats are here, it won't be that very difficult, but the grass is tall, but the trees are much more open as it is still dry here in the area. The last movement of the tracks, it was heading towards this side. So maybe the squirrels are going to let us know about the presence of these spotted cats. The gestation period of these leopards is approximately 90 to 110 days. Oh, look at this. So I can see there's a very, very fresh lion tracks here. Can you see that? This is very, very, very fresh tracks. So the lions, they have just been here. So I am going to show you now, I'm going to easily show you the difference between the leopards and the lion tracks. I can see this is a very big pride. There's something I'm hearing. Yeah, it sounds like a ground hornbill. I can hear. Can you see this track, VM? So this track here, if you look at it, you can see these three lobes, and they are very much more clear. The toes are not clear here because the sand is very soft. So the leopard tracks, they are much smaller, and this was a male lion. You can see the squares there. So the leopard tracks here, the toes, they are very close to each other and they are much more round, whereas the lion's ones, they are much more oval. So the leopard track looks much more clear and more beautiful than the lion tracks. So now I am going to go on this road. We are hitting two birds with one stone. We might be lucky with any of these two completely different cats. So there is Tingana and the new mate in the area, and now we've got the fresh lion tracks. And the lion tracks that I have seen earlier when we started, it was just the male. But now here I can see that this is quite a very big group. Maybe this is the Djuma Pride. So I just heard those ground hornbills making a very interesting noise. So these lions are heading much more that side. So let's hope to find them. So the plants in the bush, they always change. The caracal and the African wildcats, they are completely two different species, and the wildcat looks much more like a domestic cat, whereas the caracal is big and it has got kind of a light brown color with the ears extended like this, and those ones are very much aggressive. I've been charged by a caracal before. So I have been charged by a caracal before on a guided walk. They can be very much aggressive. So this pride went deep in here. So the tracks of these lions went deep there. Let's see if maybe we can go down here to the dam. Maybe they are somewhere at the dam there. So we're just gonna go and make a turn by the Buffalo's Hook Dam just to see what is there, because the lion tracks are heading much more that side. Then after that we will go and see if we can find Hosanna again. So now let's go back to Steve, who is ready for the Medicinal Mondays.
So, thank you very much, Sydney. Good luck with those lion tracks. I wonder whereabouts they are exactly. Well, we are here. Herbie is busy working on the handle of our cutting tool, or our axe at the moment, just behind the camera there. And right now, I'm sure Senzo is going to come a little bit closer so we can... Ow. I'm sitting on a pathway here, and I just realized that there's thorns. Anyway, sorry about that. Senzo's going to... Ow! Buffalo thorn. A honey badger climbed through a buffalo thorn yesterday to get that monitor lizard, which I thought was quite incredible. He didn't care at all about those thorns. They are quite penetrating. So what we've got here, I've set up my normal station. I've got a very nice bark powder over here that has been filed down and ground, and this is very well known to cure any sort of nosebleed, epistaxis they call it. So if I took some of this as a snuff, I just took some and I just... Well, it's got a little bit of a smell to it, a little bit. If your nose is bleeding, apparently it's getting a bit caught up in his cables there. It'll cure that. So that is all I did. I basically just ground down some powder using a sieve, and that will be quite useful if, in case any of us happens to get a nosebleed. But I've got some bark here, and we're going to make ourselves a very nice decoction. The bark I harvested from a tree a few weeks ago, so it is quite dry now. The bark will last a little bit. We were talking about the fiber before. If you harvest fresh fiber and you put it in, it could work quite nicely for making a rope, but I don't think it's very good. It's not the best kind of rope. Herbie's making a rope out of one of our acacias there, so I'm just going to dump all of this in here. We're going to make a decoction. If you're not sure what a decoction is, it's generally about... the lens is all steamed up there. Sorry about that. This is hot stuff we're working with. So the decoction is basically about 3 parts water to about 1 part product. I don't have the measurement exactly here, but let me just get my little kettle up and going. Let's get this blitzed, and then you let it sit for about 8 minutes or so, and all the active ingredients and components of that will come out. But the leaves themselves, I've got some of the leaves over here. I wasn't able to find too many of the leaves. Let me just turn that down a bit. It's a little bit loud. I wasn't able to find too many of the leaves. It is that time of year, but these leaves here are actually very, very good. Most of the plant itself, in its natural raw state, just like this, is actually known as quite a good anesthetic. You can chew this. You can chew pretty much any part of the plant, and you can apply it either to a snake bite or a scorpion sting, anything on the skin. You can also chew the roots and the bark for toothache. It'll basically numb the pain that's in there, so very nice for toothache. And with the seed pods, which is very interesting, I don't have too many seed pods, as I said before. Here are the seeds, and they are. They've got a little bit moldy, no viable seeds within here. All the seeds have probably been eaten and transported far away to be grown out in the African wilderness. But if you're able to harvest the seeds out of here, you can basically boil them down and extract and make an ointment out of that. And the seed pods, as well as ointments out of the bark, can be used for any sort of skin irritation, any sort of skin kind of disease, maybe even things like eczema. You can make yourself a nice cream and rub it all over the body. Well, we're going to let this boil off for a little bit and see how we go. Herbie will be done with our axe handle shortly, and then Senzo and I are going to have a stick fight. Who's your money going to be on, myself or Senzo? Anyway, don't worry, because I have got my applicators here, not for any application today, just for the color. Remember, I like to use this so that we can get a nice color variation there to see after the decoction of 8 minutes or so what coloration comes out from the components, because by boiling it, it's not just an infusion. When you make a tea, because you can make a tea out of these leaves for any sort of body conditions, you'll drink the tea, it'll go in just sort of any abdominal pain that you might have, chest complaints, maybe a bit of a runny tummy or a sore tummy. That's a very nice infusion out of the leaves, out of the bark. Very, very good. But anyway, let this boil off for a little bit and see how it's boiling there. It's already getting a nice little bit of coloration out of it, so let's boil that down. I know Sydney probably has quite a lot to talk about on the sickle bush as well. Let's go over to him and see what his thoughts are.
Look at that. Now we've got the scrub here during the day. You can see this scrub here is very much relaxed there and is feeding during this time of the day, which is something very much rare. Look at that pupil. It's very large. It's bigger than the sock. So this animal cannot play that pupil. Must have to move the head every time. And look at the erected ears there, which is there to help them in order to detect danger from a very long distance. In Venda tribe, this is the animal which is regarded having a very good wisdom. And on all the folklores and stories, traditional Venda stories, he has always been the best. So today I'm going to share you a very interesting story for olden days. It was a competition, and this competition was involving 5 different animals. It was the scrub hare, it was the baboon, it was the elephant, it was the lions, and the impala. So the scrub hare was involved on this competition, and it was about eating a raw chili. And they were competing that the one who is not going to show any expression, any burning facial expression of the chili is the winner. And guess what happens? The scrub hare decided to be the last one on the competition. And the elephant went first. And elephant displayed the facial expression that the chili is burning. Then he was off the competition. Come the and then come the lion. The lion did the same thing, and then he couldn't handle the chili burning. When the scrub hare came, he came and he could experience the burn, but he didn't want to show that the chili is burning. Instead, he started saying to these other animals, you ate this chili and displayed the following facial expression, and you did like so to show that the burning is too much. And you also did the same and I didn't do that. And he won because of that. It's as if he is not doing it. He's showing how the others did it, but during the competition, and he managed to handle the burning sensation of the chili. And he won that competition. It is a very clever animal. So you can see now he's grooming himself. So now let's go back to the Masai Mara and see David, who is having something interesting there. So I'm not too sure what animals he is looking for at the moment.
Well, I decided not to go to the giraffes and swing by the Warthog's den, and there is Warthog herself. For those who have never joined us before, we have a group of hyenas that we call the North Clan, and this is their leader, or this is the matriarch of the Northern Clan of hyenas. Her name is Warthog. And I'm sure you can notice she got a collar on her neck. And that's because we got some researchers from Michigan University who have been researching on this clan of hyenas for a very long time. And they definitely know the matriarch or the leader will always carry the most important data they will need. Behind her is a barrow, and we cannot see at the moment, but in that barrow she got her 2 cubs. And I'm very happy, just like all of you, and I was like torn between Rufus and a herd of about 20 giraffes. And I thought Rufus individually or as a single animal, she would get a lot of raving and support and love from all of you than maybe seeing giraffes. So not sure what she wants to do with the cubs, but they're right inside that barrow. They were out earlier playing, but we apologize because we had a bit of technical issues. Indigo girl, always great to hear your name, but in front of our head there's a little barrow if you look carefully there, Indigo girl, and that's where those two cubs are. So Rufus, she got her two cubs there. I do not know what she's telling them. I'm not sure there's a little patch of blood on her left, on her hindquarters. There's a little patch of blood, but yeah, right there. I'm not sure that's a wound or some bloody part on her fur, but we'll be finding out. But Indigo girl, yes, right inside that barrow, that's where her two cubs are. And either she wants to move them out or she wants to tell them stay in, put there. It's very windy at the moment, Indigo girl, and when it's windy, many animals out here, including the hyenas, will not be able to pick up any concern or any danger from where they are. So that's why maybe she's telling them stay inside until I tell you to come out. It looks pretty small barrow compared to the normal barrow on this communal den where it's huge, but she seems to be either struggling to go in or struggling to communicate with them. Not sure she got a kill there. John, in this particular barrow we see, I think it's only Rufus who can fit in there. But the normal barrows on a den, you could see anything from 10 to 15. That would include fully grown and cubs. But in this particular barrow here, John, we can only see Rufus. You see, it's quite a challenge for her to go in and out. And not sure I don't think she got a kill there, but there's some communication between her and those cubs there, John. But normal barrows, you could see 2, 3 inside, and then they take a particular shape. If you go further inside, it's only the cubs that can fit in. Further deeper in a barrow, the adults will not be able to fit in, just the cubs. So where we are, this is the communal den for the North clan of hyenas. So at any one given time, you could even see 5, 6, 10 of them together. But they'll each have different barrows. There's another female here that we have not been able to spot that have 2 tiny cubs. And John, you can see that barrow there. That's huge enough to accommodate 2 hyenas together. Hello, Rufus. Keep smiling, Rufus. And I'm sure Sydney have a big mammal, maybe out of water or in water.
Look at that. I've got the lovely, majestic animal about 600, 700 meters away from the waterhole. You can see now he's out far away from the Buffalo's Hook Dam. So these animals are just standing there. It's 2 of them. Another one is lying down completely flat. You can see this hippopotamus when they are in the water. It's difficult to judge the size, but when it's out like this, you can see this is quite a very big animal. So this one is a female. You can see the pink outer layer of the eyes. That is how I distinguish between the male and the females. So that mouth structure is very big. So the lips can be 2 feet and the whole mouth around can be about 4 feet. That is a lot. This mouth can open wide and show off very big teeth which can go 40 to 50 centimeters. These animals can run very fast, up to 30-something kilometers per hour. They are grazers, but mostly they graze at night. It's very much rare to see the hippopotamus away from the waterhole like the distance we are seeing now. So now let's quickly go back to David, who's got a lovely, lovely hyena sighting. So the babies, the hyenas, they're out at the moment.
Well, from hippos back to predators, and the two cubs have come out of the den. Whatever communication was going on between the cubs and Rufus, I have no idea, but you can now see how playful they are, because it's still very cool now, and the wind makes it even better for them to just venture out of the burrow and come out and play. So that's a burrow I haven't seen them in before. And the first time I've seen Rufus go in there, I haven't been a frequent visitor of the North Clan communal den, but any one time I've been here before, I've never seen Rufus in that particular burrow. Today, the first time I'm seeing her in there. And I saw her going in the reverse, just as like warthogs sometimes have been known to go in the burrows in the reverse. But when she goes head first, she can't either fit in, or the room is too small for her and her two cubs. And you can see her teat or mammary glands from between her legs. Oops, are you carrying the baby? What do you want to do with one of your cubs? Oh, time to move her back maybe to another burrow. If she doesn't listen, she may have like to lift her up by the neck. Oops, running. Mom, I don't want to go to the old burrow. I want to stay in the new apartment. Is that the message, cub, you're sending to your mother? But Rufus, knowing who she is, I remember Jamie. How cute is that? That's lovely. You need to go to where I'm saying I am in charge here. Ooh, cute. So between the two, I think this is the one that's not listening to the mother, and she has like to put her where she wants. That's quite an issue. What you're going to do, we'll try and go around to the other side and see what happens. I was saying earlier, I have always heard Jamie Patterson calling Rufus the commander-in-chief, and truly, she is commander-in-chief. How awesome is that? Let's just back up a little bit and see if we would go back to the old burrow where they have always lived. We'll just go around this way and find out exactly whether they have been taken to the old burrow. But in the meantime, how is your medicinal money going, Steve Ovo?
Thank you, David. Well, I am busy making you your cup of tea as we speak. You did ask earlier for a cup of tea. We're making a very nice infusion. Well, let me just quickly turn off my decoction here. This has been boiling and boiling and boiling for quite some time, and we need that to cool down, because I'm probably going to have a little sip. But the thing with the sickle bush itself is there's so many elements to this plant that are done on a raw status. I mean, most of the plant is used actually in its raw state. I'm making a decoction here purely to get the colors out, to show you what it looks like once it's been boiled down. But, you know, using the bark itself, you can chew the bark, you can chew the leaves, you can chew the roots to assist in, because of the local anesthetic for toothache, as I said before. So completely deaden wherever it is that you're feeling quite bad, abdominal pain, cure with diarrhea. So just through chewing of those plant parts, and any parts of it as well, you can sort of chew up a little bit and you can apply to any scorpion or snake bite you might have. Obviously, please seek medical advice as well afterwards, and bearing in mind with these medicinal plants, right, don't try these at home. These are wild plants out here, but they've got cultural history going back a very, very long way. So we're going to do this here with the disclaimer of that you should still seek medical attention and advice if you are prescribed with a doctor for your best interests. But we've made a small infusion. It's not in enormous amounts of leaves over here, so I didn't really get too many leaves. The sickle bush at the moment aren't really flowering or leaf-wise, but what you could do is you could quite easily, once this is diffused, take a little bit of the liquid and you can apply it in your ear for earache. Very, very nice if you've maybe got any ear pain. Maybe if you've got it in a syringe like this as well, you might even be able to remove some of the wax, which is probably often what leads to that sort of pain within inside. But very interesting, though, the plant itself, through an infusion, drinking it, can be used for female infertility. So if you're struggling to conceive as a female, it's possible by using this plant that you can kind of add sort of elements to the body that might help in the conceiving of babies. And in the same time, in the same breath, they somehow manage to use this plant as a contraceptive. I don't know how you balance both of those with the same will, but it seems to work that way. Well, time for the big reveal. Let's get a little bit of this color out of here, shall we? Look at that. That is gorgeous. Isn't that just a lovely color? So by doing the decoction, you get all those elements out, those compounds. These are the medicinal plants, the compounds within the bark. If obviously by chewing it, I would have got this out as well. But by decocting it, you can get it into a liquid. And a lot of these medicinal plants are quite bitter to the taste, as we shall probably see in a moment. Because as you know me, I like to taste. And just to show you, let's just filter that out a little bit. Here comes the liquid. Beautiful tea, David, Gitu. And we put that back over there. Okay, well, David, I'm going to be trying this, but I first just need to add a little bit of cold water, because as we know, a decoction that has been boiling is going to be very, very hot. Glorious. Okay, now this is the moment everybody is always waiting for. Senza, you're going to try it today. Herbie, you're going to come have some with me. It's got a very floral sort of smell to it. That's actually delicious. Senzo, cheers. This is, here we go, Sans, have a sip. This is probably the nicest plant that I've produced so far. No need for honey. It's just got a very nice taste on its own. It's very down to earth. It doesn't taste as nice as honeybush tea, of course, but Sans, you like it? By looking at my facial expression, which you've probably all seen in the past, the coloration shows it is quite dark. This is almost as dark as the Terminalia sericea, the silver cluster leaf, which was very, very strong to the taste. The flavor, Mum, you want to know, is just, I can't explain it. It's just very, Herbie, come over here, please, sir. Herbie's going to come taste as well. It's very, very nice. I'm trying to place it. It's just a very balanced sort of floral flavor. Basically, if you drank black tea, maybe the black tea's gone a little bit sort of old. It's not as fresh as it used to be. It's kind of got that sort of taste to it without the caffeine. What are you looking at, Senzo? Something sneaking up behind us. But very, very, very nice plant. My favorite so far. So the sicklebush, what a marvelous entity we have out here in the wilderness. We can make all sorts of things with it. And Herbie eventually finished assisting me with the axe handle. The piece of wood I gave him didn't work very well, so he made his own. But he used a bit of red thorn, which is Acacia robusta, to make this bark. And there you can see the head that is attached to it. And I'm going to demonstrate for you on the ground how powerful this actually is. And if we'd done this with the sicklebush branch, we probably would got the same result. Here we go. On the ground, yes, Senzo. Look at that. Powerful. I'm not going to fight with Senzo now, because this will actually hurt very badly. Very strong, and we could easily kill someone with that. I don't know if we'd be able to hunt and catch any meat with this, but we'd most certainly be able to discipline our friend or our neighbor, anyone who decides to come a little bit too close. But in the meantime, while we pack up all of this and get back on with our job, let's go back over to David with his playful little cubs.
Well, hopefully my tea doesn't get to me. Stivovo, when it's cold, is a long way, talking of 3,700 kilometers from where you are. And Rufus did something magical to carry one of the calves by the neck and all the way to this barrel. To me, this is her nest. This is where Rufus belong, and I think this is where she has been raising these calves. Well, once in a while they've been known to change barrows, hyenas, for different reasons, and most likely she did not like the fittings of the apartment she was in earlier, and one of the cubs could not either listen to her very well, had to be forced to come here. Playtime for these two cubs, which is a very good sign and very exciting. And I would say with time now, they have been warming up with us, unlike a few days ago when my voice could not be that loud. Jonathan, again, as I said earlier, different reasons. Number one, maybe it will be safety, and should they have any concerns, for example, of other predators like lions. You saw earlier Waffles has been in and out of the barrow looking around and making sure there are no lions, Predators being predators, they'll have what you call predator competition. And if any predator will get a pose or a chance of getting a cub of any other predator, it will get rid of it. So that's one of the major reasons why they may change barrows. Recently, we had some very big rains in the Masai Mara, and of course, if the barrows are waterlogged or water gets in, they have to relocate and go to barrows that maybe have a bigger or a higher elevation. Should, say, Waffles, as you see her there, think she needs to go and bond more with her cubs, unlike all the other females as the matriarch, she may move and maybe train them in a particular way she wants them to be. If they turn out to be females, they'll be high ranking. Still, it's very difficult at this age to tell if they're males or females, because even for fully grown hyenas, they'll always give us huge challenges. And if you're watching earlier, at one point when Waffles was on the other barrow, she was trying to put or to go in head first, and we were lucky to see her mammary glands. So the only way you tell 100% whether a hyena is a male or female to me is by seeing the mammary glands or the teeth. Apart from that, it's rather difficult. And at this age, for these cubs, I would say it would be next to impossible to tell whether they're males or females, unless, of course, you dart them and you examine them very carefully and anatomically tell what sex they are. Waffles, how are you doing? What are your plans for the day? And what would happen as it warms up, the cubs might tend to remain in the barrow and not venture out until maybe later in the evening when it'll cool off again, and they'll come out and start chasing each other. And you notice why Waffles is the commander-in-chief. While we can't see all the other hyenas, she is still out doing what she is supposed to do, keeping an eye of everything. Hyenas have been known to dig their own burrows, but also they have patronized
I am now approaching the Hosanna sighting. In about few minutes we will be watching Hosanna up in a tree. I've already been approved by the vehicle which is now having a sighting there. So after this Hosanna sighting is when I'm going to display a traditional dance. Oh, here we are. Where is Hosanna? So I can see now we are going in. The carcass is just there, and it's not by the tree anymore, but earlier on I just heard it was up by the tree just now. So we're trying to check around here to see if he is not on top of this termite mound. Oh, I can see I can only see his tail from here. So I'm just gonna go around because I can see that he is right on top of this termite mound, but he's lying flat on top there. Oh, there is he. I can see him nicely from here. Look at that. You can see that he is even using the termite mound at the top as a pillow. Look at that. He looks very tired. So he was up there. You can see now he did rearrange the position of the carcass. Yeah, he looks very much exhausted. I can see. So the carcass was on the other side, but now the carcass is on a different angle. So this cat managed to take down that full impala in less than 2 days. Look at that. You can see now he's tired. It means the stomach is full now. So he's just getting everything close by. He's not very far away from the water. When he's thirsty, he can just move down less than 500 meters. There's water available. You can... No, that is true. I saw yesterday as well, he was just using a branch as a pillow. He likes a pillow. You can see that the paws are very nice and round. This is what you see on the ground. What I was showing you earlier, the difference between the lion and the leopard track. You can see those toes there. So this animal might sleep here for the whole day. So the cats can sleep long hours. But the fact that this animal looks tired and that is food, look at that. This is a very beautiful paw. Look, you can see the 3 lobes. And if you look on these 3 lobes, there's some little holes. These kind of little holes help us in order to identify and distinguish between these different cats. Some of them has got cracks on the ground they develop. So you can easily distinguish between Tingana and Hosanna on the ground. Now this is a lovely sighting. You can see it seems like he's dreaming. He's dreaming climbing a tree, you can see. So those are the whiskers. Those whiskers, they use them in order to measure the distance in between the trees. This is what informs these leopards about the space in between the trees. Whether they can fit in or not, they know from these whiskers. It's quite a very important equipment. So this is Safari Grandma, look at the tongue. So the problem is we are only seeing just a small bit of the tongue. So the tongue of the cats, they are so lovely because they are equipped with some of the spines deep in, which helps them to scrape the hairs from a prey. Look at that. You can see he is very much tired. And there's some flies. You can see the flies there right on the front leg. So those flies, they get attracted by the blood. That is why it's very much important for the cats to clean themselves after eating. So they must get rid of the blood because it attracts all these kind of flies and they don't smell nice. Other prey can be able to detect their presence from a very long distance. So Hosanna has got quite a lot of marks identification. If you look here on the neck, what you're seeing there, it has got a necklace. And this necklace is different because it is not there by Tingana, but now we are only seeing a small bit of. So those are the things that I'm using in order to distinguish between Hosanna and the other leopards in the area. And also on the forehead, it's just that now we cannot see. There is also another small part where you can easily distinguish by the forehead. The spots that are on the forehead, they are different from Tingana. So you can see he's now trying to get rid of what is there so that he can avoid the flies. Look at that. This is beautiful. You can see the necklace now. That is how you can easily distinguish. Apart from that, by the ears, they've got notches by the ears. He's hiding away the ears. This animal has got an ability to swivel the ears around. You can see now he is pulling the ears and hiding them. Let's see what he's thinking. The cats are unbelievable. This animal was just lying down. Now, let's see. There is an artifact hole there. Let's see what he's thinking about to do. He's not worried about who's going to come out from that artifact hole. So look at how this animal is just leaning against the artifact hole. So now, let's go to the Masai Mara. David has got some hyena cubs. Lovely, always lovely to see the hyena cubs. They look beautiful.
The cubs are in and out of the barrow, play and having a rest, and time also to bond with the mother. I was saying earlier, we have not seen any other hyena here, male or female, just Waffles herself. Not sure if all the others are inside the barrows and having a nap, or maybe they are away from the communal den, because at times they could be out the whole night and maybe on their way back, or they left very early morning to go forage for food. Remember, we do very interactive safari drive where we'll always be happy to hear your questions or your comments. Keep tweeting on #safariLIVE. And for those who have never joined us before, this particular hyena, we call her Rufus, and she is the leader of a huge clan of hyenas here in the Mara Triangle Game Reserve. She got 2 cubs, and we think the ones you see there playing, they could be about 6 or 7 weeks old. She got a collar on her neck because we got some researchers who have been following her for a very long time. Earlier, these cubs had gone to a different barrow, and the mother, Waffles, had to bring them back, and it was so exciting to see her holding one of them by the neck. And let's go back to her old nest. And to me, she seems very comfortable where she is now, unlike where she was struggling to fit herself in before. Sorry, raise that question again. Well, I think there could be a predator or something approaching Hosanna right now.
You can see that Hosanna is looking at something right in front of me. I have got a hyena approaching. We might see a drama here because I know this hyena is not, this one is not nervous at all. It's the one who always approaches Hosanna much close. So he's trying to investigate something from the air now. Let's see what this hyena is going to do now. You can see Hosanna is right there. So the hyena is now slowly going behind the termite mound. He's trying to sniff if there is some small bits of meat fallen from the carcass. So you can see that Hosanna is looking at that hyena, but it looks very tired. He's looking at the carcass now. And he thinks that carcass is safe. He doesn't feel comfortable with these hyenas. You can see now that he wants to go up there and check where that hyena is. Look at his positioning. He was just testing a small piece of a plant there. He's very sure that that hyena has gone past. I can't see the hyena anymore. So the animals such as the warthogs, they stay in these artifact holes and they always go back in reverse, always ready to charge their intruders. If there is a warthog in there, Hosanna must be very careful, because that warthog is going to come running at high speed, and with those kind of tusks from the warthogs out of the mouth can be very dangerous. So I don't think there is a need for Hosanna to defend this carcass. So now let's go back to the Masai Mara and see how the cubs, the hyena cubs, are doing. So they are still there at the moment. They're still having a good sighting.
Rufus cubs can't stop playing, and I'm surprised this is after 9 o'clock East African time and they're still out playing. To me, it's an indication they're getting more courage to venture out. And it's not as hot, but I think it's more of getting more courage as they age. And the mother wants them to be as independent as possible. Until recently, when people have always, misunderstood hyenas, it has been found out they have a very complex social status and very intelligent animals they are, with very high DNA, like some of the primates. And what should be doing now is to encouraging them to remain out as much as possible, as she keeps a close eye on them. Because anything could go wrong. It could be another predator like a lion or a huge eagle could easily come and grab one of these cubs here. Sarah, the babies are already living with the clans. I was here a few days ago, Sarah, and these babies were playing with another 2 or 3 females. So what happens is, as they grow older, they'll get more courage and start playing more with the other hyenas. As it is now where we are, this is the communal, I would say, den for the Warthogs or for this particular clan. There are a few barrows here, not only the one we see there. There are counted another 5 barrows. So to the left of them, to the right, there are more barrows. You see right there where Manu is showing you there, Sarah, that's another barrow there. And where she was earlier trying to feed herself with her 2 cubs, that was another barrow. So this is actually the main den or the North clan. But these cubs were not born here. So what I'm trying to say in other words, Sarah, is that these cubs have already been introduced to the other members of the clan. How playful they are, and anything they try to catch at this age, be it a piece of stick or grass. Can you see a notch on that one? If you look on his left ear, come on, put your ear up, very good. Now, Manu just found out that this one has a notch there, and we're trying to find out what could have happened. Was it bitten by the other one, as they were playing, or maybe was it bitten by another fully grown hyena, or was it born like that? I have never known. I hadn't seen that before until today. Excuse me. And at least now I'll be able to tell them apart between these two cubs here. Very difficult to tell who is a boy or who is a girl, or both of them are boys or two girls. And as I was saying before, they tend to pick anything they get, be it a piece of grass or a piece of bone. Of course, they can't eat meat now, or a piece of stick. The thing they'll want to do is to bite it to the smallest size possible and just crush it, and make it as small as possible. Thompson is that it might take time before teaching of these cubs how to hunt. Number one, they are not even able to eat meat, leave alone hunting. So until the age of about 5 months, that's when they're comfortably able to chew meat. And maybe after that, they might start venturing out with the mother, and they'll watch the mother going for a hunt. And as much as we always think hyenas are scavengers, they also hunt for themselves. So I wouldn't think anything less than a year before they can comfortably maybe start hunting small prey for, like, baby rabbits or fawns or lambs of impalas. But as yet, they're just too young to start hunting anything, leave alone being able to eat meat. Excuse me. And the team that is tracking with Steve Ovo, who have been making us all the infusions you would think of, they might tell us whether they're making anything new, or they'll tell us plans for the next Monday.
Well, we thought we'd finally give you the big reveal on what this is. And what it is, in fact, is the seed pods of the balanites, the torchwood that's been opened up by a squirrel, and the seeds inside eaten. So there we go. Not an ant dumbbell or a whistle or a musical instrument. Toby just stuck them together on the edge of a guarri stick to make it look very strange and very interesting. But we're going to finish off with one final segment from our side. It is Heritage Day. I'm not going to ever try and suggest that I could do a traditional dance, but Herbie himself is preparing just up ahead here. He's just placed his rifle against the tree. I'm going to try and get quite close to him because he's going to try and sing at the same time as doing a little bit of a dance, and hopefully you will hear him through my hat. Herbie, are you ready? Okay. I'm going to try and get quite close to him so that you can hear him with my hat, but I'm going to try and stay out of the frame. There we go. Take it away, Herbie.
Hare. Absheni. Amkela ka silibernene randzavuko wa machangana.
Amangezi hoya, amangezi hoya, amangezi maku 1 2 3 4. Amangezi hoya, amangezi hoya, maku 1 2 3 4. Amabunu hoya, amabunu hoya, maku 1 2 3 4. Machangana hoya, amachangana hoya, maku 1 2 3 4. Maputukeze hoya, bak omdosh 3 squad. Hoya.
Are you finished? No, he's not finished. He's not finished.
Aya tsampe, watelela machela komile. Aya tsampe, watelela ngwina. Aya tsampe. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11.
I think we can all give Herbie a round of applause. How fantastic was that? Sorry I was standing there looking so awkward on the side of him, but for you to be able to hear what he was saying, I needed to get the microphone quite close to him. Herbie, you absolute champion. Well, that was funny. That was exciting. Heritage Day, ladies and gentlemen, celebrating Herbie's culture of Shangaan.
So unfortunately, I could not manage to perform a traditional dance for you, but I will play it. I will do it during this afternoon. During this afternoon, I'm going to display a vendor dance for you. So look now, he is trying to rest right by this artifact hole. This is a lovely sighting. So we are very lucky because the other vehicles left because he was just lying down. But when we got here, he started showing some activities. It has been a very interesting morning, a great morning with the spotted cats and the medicinal Mondays. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. You have been very much interactive and it has been very, very interesting. And thank you very, very much for that. I hope we are going to meet again this afternoon. I'll be back and I will be dancing for you.